Okay, so welcome to the flight. I had to unplug the camera battery in order to get the camera to come on, and I forgot to reconnect the audio. So today I'll be giving you a voiceover. So I'm just about to take off. I'm checking right, checking left, checking above. So I'm working on a couple things in this flight. One of them is picking up a little faster. This isn't anything I would recommend to anyone who's just starting. I always tend to pick up very slowly. It's not so much the pickup, it's actually the raising of the collective. So I'm trying to pick up the collective a little faster up until 18 inches, and then slow down very slow after that. But even still, you do need to watch for torque changes. And you'll see a little bit of jiggle to the left and right here. Nothing too big. There's a little bit of right there, a little bit of left there. So I got light, and it picks up very slowly, which is nice, and something you want to shoot for. But actually, on this particular pickup, I wasn't going particularly fast on the pickup. So I like to turn here and then go over to the grass because I don't want to move forward and get too close to the planes. So I'm going to take a quick peek to the left, check my takeoff spot for oil. Everything looks fine, and I continue on. Contact the tower, and then I ask for the location I'm interested in, doing some hover maneuvers. So this is a currently inactive runway, perpendicular to the runway in use. And the first thing I do is about 6 set downs and pickups right on the number 2, in the pocket of the 2. This is just a practice precision landings. I'm looking to get a dolly landing endorsement, and dollies obviously are fixed size, so you want to be able to land very precisely. So I do practice that about 6 times here. I'm only going to show you one so I don't bore you to death. But in my previous video, I've been doing this for a while. In my previous video, I might do them 3. I might show you 3 of them. And it's nothing more than a gentle approach. And I'm trying to look forward. If I'm rocking a little bit, it's because I'm probably looking down too much. But and then we touch down and then set down gently. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in my set downs. So now we're going to jump forward to a pickup. Oh, I am wiping my hands off. It was quite hot in the cockpit, and I did get very sweaty. So now we're going to do a pickup. I don't know that this one's particularly fast. When I say fast, moving from idle to 18 inches of manifold pressure. Nice gentle pickup. That's of course what you always want, a nice gentle pickup. You want to feel the nose. I am alone in the helicopter, and I do have about 50 pounds under the left seat, so the nose will pick up. Now I'm going to do pirouettes. And pirouettes aren't necessarily a maneuver. You need, I do it mainly for sensitivity practice, spotting. So I'm going to move sideways and keep right on the line, the center line of the runway, travel sideways, and I move 90 degrees at a time. And then I'm going to move backwards, and you see I'm right over the line. So as I mentioned, this is a sensitivity exercise, just to practice not over-controlling. The hardest part is to the left. It requires the most amount of pedal input, but the R44 has a lot of pedal authority. It does require a little bit of pressure is all. But this helicopter handles the maneuver very well, and the winds are quite light at the time, maybe 8 knots, and probably from the left or from the right at this time. So I'll do a series of up and back, pirouetting to the left, and then I'll come back, pirouetting to the left. Then I'll do a series of pirouetting to the right, 90 degrees at a time. So it's important when doing these maneuvers for me to spot something. I can just, at this particular point, I'm looking off to the left down the runway, or I might look straight out. I prefer to avoid looking down because you don't really get much perspective, and you can rock a little bit too much. I was rocking a little bit there, but that sometimes happens when I'm going flying sideways to the left. So those were left turns. Left turns do utilize your what's often called the power pedal. And now I'm going to do pirouettes to the right, up and back. There's one of the other training helicopters coming in. I just saw it in front of me, landing over in the grass. I spoke to that instructor before I took off to coordinate with them what they were planning on doing, so he knew what I was planning on doing, so we could just coordinate and be safe. Last thing we want is, wait, you said what? Where were you? Why are you there? So just to avoid confusion. So I've been doing these for a little bit, and I did them the first time with an instructor, so out on the grass, and then the first time by myself out on the grass in a big open space before migrating to doing them on a runway where I try and keep right over the line. As you can see, I'm remaining over the line. So I'm not, just for clarification, I'm not turning over a spot. I'm actually moving and flying down the runway while turning 90 degrees at a time. Like here, I'm spotting down the runway. And that's the hardest one to hold. In my last video, that one was a little bit more difficult because I had a little bit more wind than I do today. I had some periods of calm. And it was, as I mentioned, very hot in the cockpit. The previous time I did this, it was much cooler because I had the doors off and the wind's blowing through the cabin, which was very nice. And that concludes my pirouettes. So I'm going to fly hover taxi off the runway, the inactive runway. They did. The tower did offer me an air taxi, but I chose to do a hover taxi because there's really, well, I always feel it's a little bit safer for this area. There's lots of buildings and aircraft, and oh, we're skipping forward now. Now I'm coming in for my landing, and this was interesting because there's another helicopter that had just landed before me with the rotors still spinning, and there's only one safe parking spot to pull into. They're marked off, but I hadn't, these are new parking spots, so I wasn't quite aware of their dimensions, so I kind of played safe. You can see the helicopter's off to the right, just fell out of view. That one's off, and there's a second one that's on. And you'll see them better as I turn right here. There's about an 8-knot wind at this point. I'm heading into the wind now. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't like to fly over by the airplanes, so I choose to come in from the grass here. And that means I'll have a tailwind, but 8 knots is not bad. And I probably wouldn't do an approach to landing with a tailwind, although the R44 has plenty of tail authority. But from a hover to a landing, I feel pretty comfortable, and we just practiced traveling pirouettes, so I'm well attuned to how the helicopter's feeling. You can see the helicopter's on, not spinning down to the right there. And so I'm just waiting to clear the grass, and then I land over in the farthest corner, nice and soft here. So I've got a tailwind and rotor wash from the other helicopter, and I touch down, boom, and then I just signal to the other pilot, and then that ends the flight.